You joined the gang. You were still a cop. It's a Friday night in late October, and you are standing in a parking lot in East Oakland holding a gun that isn't registered to anyone. 6 men are behind you. You've known 4 of them for 11 months. One of them was at your birthday, not your real birthday, the fake one on Darius Webb's driver's license. He brought a bottle and a handshake and said you were family now. The man in front of you is on his knees. His name is Calvin. 26 years old. 3 kids. He skimmed product from the wrong block on the wrong night, and the word came down 2 hours ago that it needed to be handled. Handled. That word has 3 levels in this organization, and the man behind you, the one they call Prophet, just told you this situation requires the 3rd level. Nobody handed you the gun. You picked it up. That's the distinction your handler will spend 6 months arguing about in a closed-door federal review. Calvin is looking at the ground. Prophet is looking at you. And you are standing exactly between 2 worlds that cannot both survive this parking lot. This is not where you expected to be when you said yes 14 months ago. But the honest thing, the thing you will eventually tell the review board, the therapist, the federal prosecutor, and nobody else, is that you are not sure anymore where you expected anything. To understand the parking lot, you have to understand what came before it. All of it. Because nothing about this night arrived without warning. Every warning just looked like something else at the time. 14 months before the parking lot. You are 29 years old. 5 years with the Oakland Police Department, the last 2 in the Gang Violence Suppression Unit. You have made good arrests. You have built solid cases. You have also learned something that nobody tells you when they hand you the badge. Suppression doesn't suppress. It relocates. You arrest someone from one block, and the vacuum gets filled from the next block over, and 3 months later you're making the same arrest with a different name on the paperwork. The organization doesn't notice. The organization barely pauses. Your sergeant, a 20-year veteran named Okafor, calls you in on a Wednesday afternoon and closes the door. He has a folder. He puts it on the desk but doesn't open it. He says, "You know the East Side Piru situation. You know it. East Side Piru, a blood-affiliated set operating across 3 neighborhoods in East Oakland. Estimated 60 active members. Responsible for 7 homicides in 18 months, 4 of them under 20 years old. The department has been building a case for 2 years with informants who keep going cold, either from fear, relocation, or, in 2 cases, causes that the department lists as unrelated but that everyone in the GVSU understands perfectly well." Okafor opens the folder. Inside, 1 photograph and 2 pages of notes. The photograph is a man in his mid-40s, heavyset, gray at the temples, sitting at a diner table eating what appears to be eggs. He looks like someone's uncle. His name is Leonard Dupree, known as Prophet. He runs the East Side Piru operation with a structure so insulated from direct evidence that the 2-year case has produced exactly one thing: the knowledge that Prophet is at the center and nothing that connects him to it. Okafor says, "We need inside. Not informant level inside. All the way inside. Someone who can move through the organization, build real relationships, document Prophet's direct involvement in command decisions." You say, "What's the timeline?" Okafor says, "Minimum 12 months. Possibly 18. You look at the photograph of Prophet eating eggs at a diner. You say, "What's my cover?" Okafor slides the folder across the desk. He says, "We've been building it for 8 weeks. We were waiting to see who was right for it." What he doesn't say, what you will understand later, much later, is that right for it and safe for it are 2 different measurements, and the department had only calculated one of them. Darius Webb. Your cover identity is a man named Darius Webb, 29 years old. Born in Fresno. Mother in prison for drug offenses since Darius was 12. A detail chosen because it explains certain things about his disposition without requiring elaboration. Juvenile record, 2 assaults, 1 weapons charge, all sealed. Adult record, 1 conviction for aggravated assault, 18 months at Dual Vocational Institution, released 14 months ago. The dual record is the foundation. East Side Piru has members who passed through dual. Not enough that Darius would be universally recognized. Too much familiarity creates verification problems, but enough that the name of the facility carries weight. Men who did time at dual understand something specific about how that place works, and you spent 3 weeks studying it with a former inmate until you knew it from the inside out. The layout, the politics, the particular hierarchy of a yard that runs differently from any other facility in the California system. Your handler is a detective named Sims. She is 43, 12 years undercover experience, currently working coordination from the department side. You will communicate through a system involving a specific barbershop on MacArthur Boulevard, a legitimate business whose owner is a cooperating witness. Every Tuesday, you get a haircut. The barber passes information in the cape he drapes over your shoulders, sewn into the lining. Information goes both directions. It is, Sims tells you, the oldest communication method in undercover work and the hardest to surveil. Sims briefs you the night before you go under. She is precise, unemotional, thorough. At the end of the briefing, she says one thing that is not in any protocol document. She says, the organization you're entering runs on relationships. Genuine ones. That's what makes Prophet hard to reach. He only talks to people he trusts, and trust in this world is not performed. It's accumulated. You will have to actually become someone that these people trust. And that process will change you in ways that are difficult to predict and impossible to fully prepare for. You say, I understand. She says, you understand it right now, tonight, as yourself. I'm telling you that in 6 months you will understand it as something else entirely, and the gap between those two understandings is where people lose the thread. You nod. You do not fully understand what she means. You will. What East Side Piru actually is. The entry point is a man named Marcus, who everyone calls Slim. Slim is 32 years old, works at an auto parts store during the day, and runs the East Side Piru's informal recruitment process in the evenings. Not with ceremony or explicit offer, but by being the person that new people in the neighborhood naturally orbit around. He has a quality that is difficult to describe and impossible to fake. He makes people feel seen. You meet Slim at a pickup basketball game at Arroyo Viejo Park on your 5th day in the neighborhood. You are not good at basketball. This turns out to be useful. Slim respects people who show up to things they're not good at. Over the following 3 weeks, you and Slim establish the specific low-grade friendship of 2 men who see each other regularly in a contained geography and find, gradually, that they have more to say to each other than the situation strictly requires. You talk about Fresno, about Dual, about the particular texture of a life that has been shaped by the California correction system in ways that don't fully translate to people who haven't experienced it. Everything you tell Slim is Darius Webb's history. None of it is yours. The problem is that it feels like yours, because you spent 3 weeks learning it until it did. By week 4, Slim introduces you to 2 other members. By week 6, you are present at a gathering at a house on 90th Avenue that is, without any explicit announcement, an organizational meeting of the East Side Piru. 12 men. A discussion of territory, of income, of a dispute with a neighboring set that needs resolution. You sit against the wall and say nothing. You observe. Prophet is not there. Prophet is never at these meetings. Prophet exists in this organization the way gravity exists, as a force that shapes everything without appearing in the room. His name comes up twice, both times in the specific respectful register of men referring to a final authority they do not question. On the drive home, you stop at a pay phone 3 blocks from your apartment and call the number that reaches Sims. You give her the names, the address, the substance of what was discussed. She says, good. You're in. Don't rush the next part. The next part is Prophet. The thing about Slim. Month 4. You have been inside long enough that Darius Webb has a reputation. He shows up. He doesn't cause problems. He doesn't ask for things he hasn't earned. When there's work that needs doing, the unglamorous kind, the driving, the standing in a specific location for a specific amount of time, the moving of things from one place to another without discussion, Darius Webb does it without being asked twice. What Darius Webb is building, methodically, is exactly what Sims described, accumulated trust. The only currency that matters here. What you are building, simultaneously, without intending to, is a genuine friendship with Slim. This is the part that the briefings don't cover. Not because the department doesn't know it happens. They know, they have case studies, they have psychological literature on the phenomenon, but because there is no training protocol that prepares you for the specific experience of sitting on a porch with someone at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, talking about nothing important, and realizing that if the circumstances were different, This is exactly the kind of person you would choose to know. Slim is smart. Not formally educated. He dropped out at 16, but smart in the way that some people are smart when their intelligence has never been aimed anywhere with infrastructure. He reads. He thinks carefully. He makes decisions slowly and explains his reasoning when you ask, which not many people in this world do. He has a daughter, 7 years old. She lives with her mother in Hayward. He drives there every Saturday morning and they spend the day together. He shows you a photo once, the girl midlaff, missing a front tooth, holding an ice cream cone with the confidence of someone for whom joy is not complicated yet. He says, "She doesn't know what I do. She just knows I show up." You say, "That's the part that matters." He looks at you. He says, "You sound like you mean that." You do mean it. That's the problem. Darius Webb means it and you mean it, and in this moment there is no distance between those two things. That night you report the conversation to Sims in the barbershop Cape. You report Slim's name, his role in the organization, his known movements. All of it. Because that is the job. Sims confirms receipt. You drive home and sit in the car for a long time. Month 7. Prophet. You meet Prophet on a Sunday afternoon in a barbershop on International Boulevard. Not the barbershop Sims uses, a different one, Prophet's, where he holds court every Sunday from 2 to 6 and where the people who need access to him know to appear, not with appointments, but with patience. Slim brings you. He says only, be straight with him. He knows when people aren't. Prophet is exactly what his photograph suggested and nothing like what you expected. He is 61 years old, older than his file indicated, and it shows in the way he carries himself, with the specific unhurried quality of a man who has outlived urgency. He has been running this organization in various forms for over 2 decades. He has been arrested 4 times and never convicted. He is not, in person, frightening. He is something harder to navigate than frightening. He is perceptive. He shakes your hand. He asks about Fresno. Not small talk. Specific questions. The kind of questions that have right and wrong answers and that he already knows the answers to. You give him Darius Webb's Fresno. You give it without hesitation, without the half-second lag that distinguishes remembered experience from retrieved information. He watches your face through all of it. Then he asks about Dual. Again, specific. The yard, the politics, particular events from a particular year. You answer everything correctly because you spent 3 weeks making sure you could. He's quiet for a moment. Then, Slim says you're solid. You say, Slim's been good to me. Prophet says, Slim's good to everyone. That's his gift and his problem. He looks at you. He says, what do you want? The question is the same test every man at this level gives. You have been waiting for it for 7 months. You give the answer you prepared. Not a rehearsed line, a genuine sounding truth, because the best answers are the ones that are partly real. You say, I've been running since I was 12. I want somewhere that doesn't move. He nods. Something in his expression settles. He says, come back next Sunday. You come back the next Sunday. And the Sunday after that. For 3 months, you spend 2 hours every Sunday in that barbershop, sometimes talking to Prophet directly, sometimes just present while he talks to others. You learn how he thinks by watching what he approves and what he doesn't. You learn what he values, loyalty expressed through action, not declaration, consistency over intensity, the ability to absorb difficulty without requiring attention for it. You are, without intending it, becoming exactly the kind of person Prophet values. Darius Webb is. But so are you. Month 10. The decision that wasn't a decision. The moment that will define the federal review, the closed-door hearing, the 40 pages of legal argument about what you were authorized to do and what you were not. That moment arrives on a Thursday night in month 10. A member of the organization, a 19-year-old named Devin, gets caught by a rival set on the wrong side of a boundary. He is beaten badly enough that he ends up in Highland Hospital with 2 broken ribs and a fractured orbital socket. The organization's response is not immediate. Prophet doesn't move on emotion, but within 48 hours, word comes down that a response is being organized. You are included in the response team. 5 men, Prophet's direct authorization, a target identified by intelligence from within the rival set. The operation is planned for a Friday night. You know about it on Wednesday morning. Protocol is clear. You notify Sims. The department has the option to intervene, to disrupt the operation, to create a situation that prevents the violence without burning your cover. This has been done before in other operations. It is in the playbook. Sims says, "We can pull you. Right now. We have enough for a partial case." You say, "Partial doesn't reach Prophet." Sims says, "I know." You say, "If I go dark on this, I'm burned. Everything we've built for 10 months. Sims is quiet. You say, "I can be there and make sure it doesn't go the way they're planning." Sims says, "That's not something I can authorize." You say, "I know." There is a silence on the line that contains, in compressed form, everything that is wrong with what you are about to do and every reason you are going to do it anyway. Sims says, "Check in before you go." You check in. You go. What happens Friday night is not what the organization planned. The target location turns out to be occupied by people who have nothing to do with the rival set. A family, home, lights on. You are the first one to see this. You tell the men with you, clearly and immediately, that this isn't the right address. You redirect. The operation dissolves. No one is hurt. Afterward, Slim looks at you. He says, "How'd you know it was wrong?" You say, "I looked at the windows." Family inside. That's not the play. He nods. He says, "Prophet needs to know you did that." You say, "He doesn't need to know everything." Slim says, "He'll find out anyway. Better he hears it right." He tells Prophet. Prophet calls you into the barbershop on a Monday. Not a Sunday, a Monday, which has never happened before. He says, "You stopped something Friday." You say, "It wasn't the right address." He says, "A lot of people would have gone anyway." You say, "That's not how I operate." He looks at you for a long time. He says, "No, it's not." Something shifts after that Monday. Prophet starts including you in conversations that have nothing to do with operations. Conversations about the organization's history, about decisions he made years ago, about the logic of how things are structured and why. He is, in the specific way that men like him do this, teaching you, bringing you in. You are closer to Prophet than any informant or undercover officer has ever been. You are also further from the person who walked into Okafor's office 14 months ago than you have ever been from anything. The parking lot. Calvin skimmed $1,100 from a block he had no business touching. The information reached Prophet through 2 separate channels, which in this organization means it is treated as confirmed. Prophet's response is proportional to the offense and the confirmation, not to Calvin's circumstances, not to his 3 children, not to the reason he took the money, which you learn later was to cover a medical bill he couldn't pay any other way. The word comes down Friday afternoon. 3rd level. In this organization, 3rd level means permanent. You know about it at 4 p.m. You have 4 hours before it is scheduled to happen. You call the barbershop. Sims is not available. You leave a message in the system. The system confirms receipt. No response comes by 6. No response by 7. At 8, a car pulls up to your apartment. Slim is driving. He says, "Prophet wants you there tonight." You get in the car. The parking lot is on Seminary Avenue. 6 men. Calvin on his knees. The unregistered gun that someone left on the hood of a car and that you picked up because not picking it up would have been its own statement. Prophet is not there. Prophet is never at 3rd level. The distance between Prophet and the action is the entire reason you have spent 14 months trying to close it. The man running this is a lieutenant called Reese. Reese hands the situation to you directly, in front of the other 5 men, because Prophet told him to. Because this is, you understand in this moment, a final test. A door. Calvin is looking at the ground. You are looking at Reese. You say, "This isn't how Prophet operates." Reese says, "Prophet said handle it." You say, "Handle and this are different things." Prophet runs a structured operation. This creates exposure. This creates a body, witnesses, a police response, and 6 months of heat on every block we run. That's not handling it. That's creating a problem. Reese says, "Prophet gave the word." You say, "Then I'll talk to Prophet." The parking lot goes very quiet. You say it again, clearly, "I'll talk to Prophet directly." If he tells me this is the call, I'll hear it from him. Reese looks at you for a long time. The other men look at Reese. Nobody in this organization has ever done what you just did. Not refused a direct instruction, but redirected it upward, publicly, in a way that frames defiance as loyalty to the man above the man giving the order. It is either the most sophisticated move anyone in this parking lot has ever seen or the last one you will ever make. Reese takes out his phone. He calls. He speaks quietly. He listens. He hangs up. He says, "Prophet says bring Calvin in. He'll handle it himself." Calvin is put in a car. You don't know what happens to Calvin after that. You will spend time trying to find out, and the answer, when it comes, will be complicated in a way that doesn't resolve cleanly. You get back in Slim's car. Slim doesn't say anything for 3 blocks. Then, "That was the most dangerous thing I've ever seen anyone do." You say, "It was the right call operationally." Slim says, "Stop talking like that. Talk like a person." You look out the window. You say, "I didn't want it to go that way." Slim says, "I know." He says, "That's why Prophet's going to trust you now more than anyone else in this organization." He's right. And that is the moment you call Sims from a payphone at midnight and say 4 words you've never said in 14 months of operation. "I need to come out." The end of Darius Webb. The extraction takes 72 hours. Not because it is logistically complicated, Sims has a protocol for this, but because the case has reached a point where pulling you immediately risks collapsing the evidentiary structure before the prosecution team has secured it. For 72 hours, you are still Darius Webb. You attend a Sunday session at the barbershop. You talk to Prophet. You sit in the chair across from a man who has, over 14 months, extended a level of trust that is rare in any context and nearly impossible in this one, and you perform, for the last time, the role of the person he believes you to be. Prophet asks you, on that last Sunday, what you want for yourself long-term. It is the kind of question he only asks people he is thinking about seriously. You give him an answer. It is partly Darius Webb's answer and partly yours, because after 14 months the line between those two things has not disappeared, but it has become difficult to locate precisely. You drive away from the barbershop on Sunday evening and you do not go back. The warrants execute on Tuesday morning. 47 simultaneous arrests across East Oakland, Alameda, and 2 locations in Fresno. Prophet is taken at his home, a modest house in the Millsmont neighborhood, while he is eating breakfast. His attorney arrives within 20 minutes. He has always had one on permanent retainer, which tells you something about how long he knew this was possible. Slim is arrested at the auto parts store. A Tuesday. He is wearing his work shirt. The arresting officers, following protocol, do not tell him who gave the information that built the case. He figures it out. His attorney sends a letter to the department 8 weeks after the arrest. The letter contains 1 paragraph addressed to the undercover officer. It says, he wants you to know he doesn't hate you. He wants you to know he understands the job. And he wants you to know that his daughter is fine and is still losing teeth and he still shows up on Saturdays. Sims gives you the letter in a parking garage in downtown Oakland. You read it twice. You fold it in quarters. You put it in your pocket and you don't take it out for a long time. What the job costs. The federal review of the parking lot incident runs 4 months. The central question is whether picking up an unregistered firearm at an active third-level operation constitutes unauthorized participation in a planned violent crime, or whether it constitutes a reasonable de-escalation action taken by an undercover officer in real time with no communication available to his handler. The review board finds in your favor. Narrowly. The dissenting member writes 2 pages about the difference between what the evidence shows and what the outcome required, and those 2 pages are accurate in ways that the majority finding is not. You are cleared for duty. You return to the Gang Violence Suppression Unit. The work is the same. The arrests are the same. The math, 1 arrest, 1 replacement, the organization barely pausing, is the same. What is different is that you now understand the organization from the inside in a way that changes how you see every arrest you make. You know what Slim's role was. You know what a man in that role looks like from within the structure that produced him, not just from the outside looking in. You know that the auto parts store job was real, that he got up at 6 every morning and went to work and then went to work again in the evening, and that the 2 jobs existed in his mind as entirely separate things that somehow had to be kept in the same life. Prophet receives a 22-year sentence. He is 61 years old. Slim receives 6 years. He will be eligible for parole in 4. His daughter will be 11 when he gets out, if he does. You think about the photograph, the missing tooth, the ice cream cone. You think about it on the Saturdays when you have nowhere specific to be. Sims retires 8 months after the operation closes. Her retirement party is in a bar in Temescal. You go. You drink 1 beer and leave early because the noise is too much, or the people are too much, or something is too much that you don't have a clean name for yet. She finds you in the parking lot. She says, "You did the job." You say, "I know." She says, "That's both things at once. The doing it and the knowing it." You say, "I know that too." She says, "It doesn't get lighter. You just get stronger." And eventually you stop being able to tell the difference. She goes back inside. You stand in the parking lot for a while. It is a Friday night. Somewhere in East Oakland, in a neighborhood you know from a different name and a different face, the organization that replaced the East Side Piru is running its operation. New people in old positions. The same blocks, the same economics, the same logic that makes the math work for a 19-year-old who needs money and has run out of other ways to get it. The structure does not require the people who built it. It only requires the next person who needs what it offers. And somewhere in Hayward, a girl with a missing tooth is one Saturday closer to the one where her father doesn't show up. And you are standing in a parking lot. Still a cop. Still trying to figure out what that costs, and who pays it, and whether the accounting ever actually balances.